Hello, 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 and today we're talking about dodging imperm. Yes, that's right, dodging infinite impermanence. And why is that so important? Well, for those of you that live under a rock, infinite impermanence is the most played card in the TCG and the 5th most played card in Master Duel, probably because of the maxi and the mini game. And if you don't know what infinite impermanence is and why you need to dodge it, well, this video is the one for you, because infinite impermanence, really, you could play this card from your hand as long as you don't control any other cards to negate a monster's effects, and also has a secondary effect where you can place it face down, and not only can you use it on your opponent's turn to negate a monster's effects, but now that whole row and column, I should say, not the row, the column is going to also have the spells and traps negated as well. And here's 7 unique ways pros dodged infinite impermanence. Starting off with number 7, and is one of my favorites. It's been exploding onto the field as of lately, used in Voiceless Voice, but doesn't even need to be in the Voiceless Voice deck, is Sawarvis, the Ancient and Ascended. And let's just look at the pros that used it and why they did. So I'm not showing the Voiceless Voice archetypes that use it. I want to show other cards that do it, because you don't even need to use the ritual effect. It's actually a hand trap, because the most important part is right here. When your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a monster you control, a la Infinite Impermanence, you discard this card and negate the activation, right? So that's what's very important about that card. So you don't even need to use it for the ritual effect. It's basically like an anti-hand trap, a protection hand trap. And you can even see here, we've got Thunder Dragons winning a regional in Brazil with it. And also Shadal Dinosaurs winning a regional in Mexico. Congratulations. And let's also take a look at this YCS Portland, the hand trap hero who came in second to last place using it. Congratulations. I think my nephew using Numeron could have did that. Well, congratulations to you. And that's why it's at the number 7 spot, because it's not widely used, and I guess it does have some tops, but I have a lot better cards to show you. Jumping in at number 6, right? This card is fairly unique because it doesn't see much play in Master Duel, so not many people might know it, and it's actually limited to 1 in TCG. It's the Magical Midbreaker Field, right? And it's got a good amount of toppings, but it really hasn't seen play since 2020, which is why it's at the number 6 spot. The basic most important part of this card is that you can only activate this card during the start of your main phase 1, and then while it's activated, neither player can target monsters their opponent controls, and that's only during each player's main phase 1. So that's how you're dodging imperm with that effect, right? You're starting off playing Magical Midbreaker Field, and now they cannot use imperm to target your cards. So it's pretty cool. You can see we've got some tops here by the Danger Player, a Gem Knight FTK, interestingly enough, but it really hasn't seen much play since 2020, so that's why it's at the number 6 spot. Jumping into number 5. All right, we have this devastating Floodgate card, but I'm not putting her here because of her Floodgate effect. Remember when I told you earlier that imperm, we can use it from our hand so long as we don't control a card? Well, Ibli, Nightmare Corruptor, I'm having her represent the cards that you could special summon to your opponent's field, right? So for her, Ibli, when she's on your field, however you get her on the field, if once she gets removed from your field, from the field to the graveyard, you can now special summon her to your opponent's side of the field. And because she's now on the opponent's side of the field, now you cannot use Infinite Impermanence, and you can continue your plays as normal. You don't have to, or your opponent can't use Infinite Impermanence, you can continue your plays as normal. Let's look at all of these Giga Chads that were not afraid to be ridiculed for using the Floodgate Ibli. Look at all of these guys. These guys need to be ridiculed. Right now, I'm calling all of you out. You guys needed the Floodgate. Paulie, Luke, you should be ashamed, you Kashtira players. And, well, actually, this is Sprite Melfi, so this one gets a pass. Sprite Melfi's kind of cool. So, yeah, congratulations to you. But all the other players should be ashamed of themselves, which is why they only got the number 5 spot, because it's a Floodgate. But number 4, this card is actually going to confuse a lot of players, especially the Master Duel players, because I haven't seen this card used in Master Duel in probably the 1,000 hours I have in that game, but it is heavily used in the TCG. Let me just show you what I mean. During Kashtira format here, look at everybody and their mothers was using this card. Oh my gosh, all the Kashtira players, of course, topping with it. Jesse Cotton too, what a good, I love that name. Jesse, such a good name. Anyways, so what it does, let me just explain real quick. You could target a face-up monster on the field, this Forbidden Lance, until the end of the turn. That target will lose 800 attack, but it is unaffected by the effects of other spells and traps. So you play your card that you need the effect to do, they chain Infinite Impermanence, and then boop, you chain Forbidden Lance, and now you are unaffected by that card effect, namely Infinite Impermanence. And also that effect too, that 800 effect will come up. And it's not just used in all of these Kashtira players too. Let me just give another bunch of cards that use it too. You can see it's even got a first place topping here for Noble Knights. Congratulations, back in February 2018 by Johnny Wynn. Congratulations to you. So you can see that this card does have a lot of toppings throughout the history of Yu-Gi-Oh!, which is why I put it at number 4, because it will come in and out of the meta. Jumping in at number 3, we have a card probably everyone should know, right? You could whip out your great-grandfather's deck, blow the dust off of it, and he'll have this card somewhere in there. It's Book of Moon. Target a face-up card on the field, change it to face-down defense position. So basically, if the opponent targets you with Infinite Impermanence, you make your own card go to face-down position, and you could still do your effect because of rules, and Konami says so. And rather than show you who's topping with it, I'm just going to show you the number of decks that have topped throughout the history of using this card. Look, ever since 2003, this card has seen its ebbs and flows in usage since it's been released. So you can see here why this card got the number 3 spot. Everybody's using it. Most prevalently, you can use this card with ninjas and Fluanderees. They use it the most, I think, to the most success. But as you can see here, it's useful throughout history. So that's a great card. Now we're getting into the good ones. Well, they all are good, but number 2. This card, absolutely devastating. In fact, if you don't know what it is, it's Red Reboot. This card doesn't get enough love in Master Duel, I feel, because this card is more targeted for side deck play, but when it works, it works. It's a blowout card and it wins you games because you can actually use this card from your hand. And then basically when your opponent activates a trap card, right, you can negate the activation. And if you do, you set that card face down and they can set another trap directly from their deck. But for the rest of the turn, they cannot use their trap cards. You can also, remember, I said you can activate it from your hand, but the consequence is you have to pay half of your life points. So, a really steep cost, but again, sometimes it's used going second to really finish an OTK. Used in a lot of OTK decks. So let me show you what I mean, right? It's used here by Exo Sisters to get a first place win, and second place here by Jesse Cotton. Again, Danger to Elements. And you can see here, these wins stopped in 2022, right? Used in all of these decks. And the reason why I stopped there was because it was banned in the TCG. It's still available in Master Duel, but if this card can still be played, it probably would. It is an amazing side deck card. And that's why it gets the number 2 spot, because it was so good it had to be banned. I made sure the number 1 card wasn't a banned card. And before I go into the number 1 card, I want to give some honorable mentions. I want to talk about Exchange and Drag Down to the Grave. These cards have a similar effect to allow both players to reveal their hands, add a card from each other's hand to their hand. Basically, you can dodge impermanence by just sniping it from your opponent's hand. Take a little peek, take a little gander, a little steely steal of their card. And there you go. Also, I wanted to talk about the other side of it, right? I did a lot of talk about how we're dodging the negate part of it. But what about if we just wanted to dodge the spell and trap? Remember how I told you that it can negate the columns? Well, if you negate your own cards, Now Infinite Impermanence cannot, the spell and trap part of it will not work. So if you use something like Forbidden Chalice and Skill Drain to negate your own cards, now they cannot turn off your spell and trap. So if you had a really important spell and trap that you needed to activate and you're activating it in the imperm column and then they activate imperm, you can negate your own card so that you dodge it. And here's a very interesting example of that before I go to number 1. And it's really tricky wording. Not many people know this, but you could use Mystical Space Typhoon to dodge that second part of the effect, right? This is or anything that destroys spell and traps, any card that destroys. What do I mean by that? Well, let's take a look at Infinite Impermanence. When I'm talking about the part that it is, remember, if this card was set for the rest of this turn, all other spell and traps are negated, right? But here's the wording many people miss. If this card was set before activation and is on the field at resolution, not many people know about that part. So remember, if you destroy Infinite Impermanence before it can resolve, then the whole column part doesn't even matter. So that's another smart way you can negate that second part of it. Your monster's still going to become negated, but your spell and traps will be safe. Anyways, let's move on to the number 1 card. The number 1 card is so good, I don't even have to show you his face. You already know what it is. Probably everybody knows who it is. You can ask, little Timmy that's 2 years old. He'll know who this card is. It is Crossout Designator. And this is one of the fairly newer cards. It came out in 2021. So I'm not even going to show you all of the toppings because everyone's using this card. Like I said, as long as little Timmy's been playing Master Duel or TCG, he knows what Crossout Designator is. All it does is you declare a name that's in your deck, banish that name from your deck. So declare Infinite Impermanence, you banish your own Infinite Impermanence, and now that card's effects are negated for the rest of the turn. So Crossout Designator, everybody's using it. That's the number 1 spot. And I just wanted to show you this price range on this. It's getting fairly expensive because everyone's using it since it came out. So anyways, that is the list. And I just wanted to say, if you liked it, please give it a little subscribe. If you want to see some fun videos, I have it over here for you. So click some fun videos over here. If you want to see some more technical and detailed statistics and analysis, I have a whole playlist right over there for you. I hope you guys like these videos, and I'll see you guys next time.